welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing beat 7 on bass. So before I start with the tutorial, we're going to do 2 loops just to show you what it will sound like. In beat 7, the first loop has 4 separate sections. So in the first loop, and this is only the first loop, you start off with straights. So you have straights right up until the end, until snare start with their rolls at the end. And what you play is... So the first loop, the first section of the first loop will sound like this. Now the important part to notice here is the ending, because the ending will always stay with the section that it is with. So this will stay at the ending of the first section, despite when we change onto the second loop, alright? So the second section, so the part that we go straight into after that, it goes... Alright? So as I said, the endings stay with the loop. So the ending of this loop, of this section, is... So the third section, snare play some rolls, and all we do as bass is accentuate their rolls. So it sounds like this. And then the last beat will be the start of the fourth section. So the fourth section is, again, just straights again. So you have your straights, and that's the end of one loop. So the first loop altogether will sound something like this. Now onto the second loop. Now the second loop is slightly different. The only difference is the funky part that you play in the second section of the first loop now gets moved to the first section, and then the straights get moved to the second section. Don't forget, as I said, the section endings will always stay the same. So it will sound something like this. So the second loop and every loop after this will sound exactly like this. So as you can see, I've just swapped the straights and that funky little section that we have there around, but kept the section endings the same. And then that is how every loop will sound after that. So I'm going to show you from the fourth section, so the straights just before we come into the second loop, how that sounds going into the second loop. can see, we just go straight into that funky part, straight away with the first hit. Sections 3 and 4 in the first loop stay the same for second loop and every other loop after that. So 3 and 4 remain unchanged. It's just section 1 and section 2 that get swapped around. So I'm going to play 2 loops just so you can hear it again, just by myself. And then with that last one, obviously, we'd go back into a repeat of that second loop. And that is how Beat 7 will sound as a whole bass section. So as long as you practice that and you just repeat it, so repeat the second loop. The first loop obviously is different. You start off with your straights, you just repeat the second loop until your drum major changes you or ends you.